To survive, the abandoned dragon child sold his last toy, until a human became his father.
The marketplace on Kepler 7 station buzzed with 1,000 voices. Merchants from a dozen worlds called out their wares. The smell of exotic foods, mixed with engine oil and ozone. Beings of every shape and color moved through the crowded pathways, haggling and trading under the artificial lights. In a small corner between two vendor stalls, a tiny dragon child sat alone. His name was Varix, and he was trying very hard not to cry. His scales, which should have gleamed like polished copper, were dull and dirty. His wings drooped against his thin back. He looked much smaller than a dragon child should, at 6 years old. His clan had called him the Runt before they left him behind. That was 3 months ago. 3 months since his parents died in the mining accident. 3 months since his uncle had looked at him with cold eyes and said, "We cannot waste resources on weakness. You are too small. You will never bring honor to our clan." They had left him at this very station, with nothing but the clothes on his back and one small toy. Varix looked down at the mechanical star in his hands. It was a wind-up projector his mother had given him on his 4th hatching day. When he turned the key, it cast tiny constellations on the walls. His father had pointed out each star system, teaching him their names. Now both his parents were gone, and this toy was all he had left of them. His stomach growled painfully. He had not eaten in 2 days. The scraps he usually found in the trash units had run out. The other homeless children on the station were faster and stronger than him. They took the food before he could reach it. Varix had a choice to make: starve or sell the last piece of his parents. "Little dragon, are you selling that?" Varix looked up. A Zenthari merchant stood before him, her forearms clasped in a gesture of gentle inquiry. Her face showed kindness, which made everything harder. Yes," Varix whispered in broken Galactic common. His voice was rough from disuse. "How much?" The Zenthari woman's expression grew sad. "I can give you 3 meal tokens for it. That is fair price for such an old toy. 3 meals. 3 days of not being hungry." Varix's claws tightened around the star projector. "It projects constellations," he said quietly. "My mother gave it to me. My father taught me the star names with it." "I see," the merchant said softly. "Where are your parents now, little one?" "Dead. Mining accident on Tarvos 9, 3 months ago." "And your family?" "They said I was too small." "Dragons must be strong." I am not strong." The merchant's face fell. "Oh, little one, I am so sorry." Varix blinked hard. He would not cry. Dragons did not cry. His uncle had said, "Weakness brings shame." But his stomach hurt so much, and he was so tired. "I will take your trade," he said. He held out the star projector with both hands. His hands shook. The merchant reached into her pouch and pulled out 3 tokens. She extended them toward him. Varix took one last look at the toy. He remembered his mother's smile when she gave it to him. He remembered sitting on his father's lap, watching the stars dance on their cave walls. He remembered feeling safe and loved. "Goodbye, Mama." "Goodbye, Papa," he whispered. Then he placed the projector in the merchant's hands. The moment it left his claws, tears spilled down his face. He could not stop them. "Wait." A new voice spoke, deep and warm. Human. A tall human man stepped forward. He had brown skin, kind eyes, and wore the uniform of a salvage ship captain. His name tag read, Captain Marcus Chen. "How much for the toy?" Marcus asked the merchant. "Sir, I just purchased it from—" "I know, I saw. How much?" The Zenthari looked confused. 3 meal tokens. But here are 10. Marcus handed her a credit chip. And here are 10 more. He gave another chip to Varix directly. That should cover meals for a while. Then, he did something strange. He took the star projector from the merchant and knelt down in front of Varix. He held it out to the small dragon. "This belongs to you," Marcus said gently. Varix stared at the toy, then at the human, then back at the toy. His mind could not understand what was happening. "But I sold it. I needed food. Now you have food in your toy. Problem solved." Marcus smiled. It was a real smile, warm and genuine. "Why?" Varix whispered. "Why would you do this? You do not know me." Marcus's expression grew serious. "Because you shouldn't have to choose between eating and keeping your parents' memory. No child should face that choice alone." Varix's claws closed around the star projector. The metal felt warm and familiar. He pulled it against his chest and sobbed. Great, shaking sobs that he had held inside for 3 months. Marcus did not tell him to stop crying. He did not say crying was weakness. Instead, the human simply sat down on the ground beside him and waited. Patient, present. When Varix's tears finally slowed, he looked up at the human through blurry eyes. "Where are your parents, little one?" Marcus asked quietly. And Varix, so tired of being alone, told him everything. Marcus listened to every word. His jaw tightened when Varix described the abandonment. His hands clenched when Varix talked about the hunger. His eyes grew bright with anger at the injustice of it all. But when he looked at Varix, there was only gentleness. "Would you like to get some real food?" Marcus asked. "My ship is docked nearby. We have a galley with a good cook. You can eat as much as you want." Varix hesitated. "What do you want in return?" "Nothing. Just some company while you eat. And maybe you can tell me more about those constellations your father taught you." For the first time in 3 months, Varix felt something strange and unfamiliar bloom in his chest. It felt like hope. The Wayfarer was not a fancy ship. Its hull showed scars from years of salvage work. The corridors were narrow and smelled like engine grease and recycled air. But to Varix, walking beside Captain Marcus Chen, it felt like the most wonderful place in the galaxy. His claws clicked on the metal floor as they walked. He clutched his star projector tightly against his chest, still afraid it might disappear if he let go. "Captain's bringing a guest," Marcus called out as they entered the galley. 3 faces turned to look at them. A large, blue-skinned Colovian woman stood by the food processor. A human man, with grease-stained hands, sat at the table. A tall, gray-skinned Thenari, with 4 eyes, looked up from a datapad. All of them stared at Varix. The small dragon froze. His wings pressed flat against his back. He had learned that stares usually meant trouble. "Everyone, this is Varix," Marcus said calmly. "He's going to join us for a meal. Zesra, could you prepare something gentle for a young stomach? He hasn't eaten well in a while." "Well." The Colovian woman's face softened immediately. "Oh, you poor little spark. Come. Come. Sit here." She patted a chair that was too tall for Varix. Marcus lifted him easily and set him on the seat. Varix's tail hung over the edge, swishing nervously. "I'm Zesra, the ship's medic," the Kilovian said warmly. "This is Rodriguez, our engineer, and that's Thala, our navigator." "Hello," Varix whispered, his voice barely audible. Rodriguez smiled. "Hey there, little guy. You like fruit? We've got some Terran apples." Varix nodded. He did not know what apples were, but he was too hungry to care. Zesra worked quickly, preparing a bowl of warm grain porridge, sliced fruit, and a protein bar broken into small pieces. She placed it in front of Varix with a gentle touch on his shoulder. "Eat slowly, pequeño," Rodriguez advised. "Your stomach needs to adjust." Varix stared at the food. It was more than he had seen in weeks. His hands shook as he picked up the spoon. The first bite of porridge was warm and sweet. "It's okay," Marcus said softly, sitting beside him. Between bites, Varix told his story again, this time with more details. He explained how dragon clans valued size and strength above all else, how runts like him were seen as genetic failures, how his parents had loved him anyway, but their death left him with no protection. "The clan elders said I would drain resources," Varix said quietly. "They said I would never grow large enough to mine ore or defend territory. They said keeping me would bring shame." Rodriguez slammed his hand on the table. "That's the most backwards, cruel." "Rodriguez," Marcus said quietly, but firmly. The engineer closed his mouth, though his face stayed angry. Thala spoke for the first time, her voice musical and measured. "Among my people, every child is precious. Size does not determine worth. This treatment is unacceptable. Many cultures have dark chapters," Zesra said sadly. "Humans had similar practices long ago. Did they not, Captain?" Marcus nodded, his jaw tight. "We did. Abandoning children, leaving them to die if they seemed weak or different. It took us centuries to realize how wrong that was. How much we lost by throwing away lives that could have brought so much to the world." Varix looked up at him. "But dragons still do it. And it is legal. The station authorities told me so. They said it was a cultural matter." "Legal doesn't mean right," Marcus said firmly. He turned to Thala. "What does galactic law say about abandoned children?" Thala's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as she accessed her datapad. "If a family formally abandons a child, and the child's species authorities refuse custody, the child falls into a gray zone. Technically, they become wards of whatever station or planet they are found on. But most stations lack resources for such cases. So they slip through the cracks," Marcus said bitterly. "Unfortunately, yes." Varix finished his meal slowly. His stomach felt full for the first time in months. It was a strange sensation, almost uncomfortable. But good. Zesra stood and approached him with a small scanner. "Little Spark, may I examine you? I want to make sure you are healthy." Varix nodded. He was too tired to be afraid anymore. The scanner hummed over his body. Zesra's face grew more concerned with each pass. "Severe malnutrition," she muttered. "Dehydration." "I fell," Varix said quietly. 2 months ago. I tried to fly from a ledge to reach food someone dropped. I fell and hit the ground. It hurt very much, but I had no money for a medic." Zesra's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Marcus. "Captain, the bone healed at the wrong angle. If we don't correct it soon, he may never fly properly." Marcus stood up. His face showed the kind of anger that came from deep sadness. "Can you fix it? Can you fix it?" "Yes, but it requires surgery. And rehabilitation. It will take months." "How much?" "Captain, we don't have that kind of—" "How much, Zesra?" The medic sighed. "At least 5,000 credits. Maybe more." Marcus pulled out his datapad. His fingers moved quickly across the screen. "Done. I'm transferring funds from my personal account. Start planning the procedure." "Done." Varix's eyes went wide. "No, that is too much. I cannot repay you." Marcus knelt down in front of him again. He looked directly into Varix's eyes. "I'm not asking for repayment. You're a child. You deserve medical care. You deserve to fly." "But why?" Varix's voice broke. "Why do you care? You are human. I am dragon. We are not even the same species." Marcus smiled sadly. "When I was young, I lived in something humans call a foster system. I moved from home to home. No one wanted to keep me. I was too loud, too angry, too broken. I aged out of the system at 18 with nothing, no family, no home. He paused, his eyes distant with memory. I wished, every single day, that someone would choose me, that someone would say, "You matter. You deserve love." No one ever did. Marcus focused back on Varix. So when I see a child who needs someone to choose them, I choose. Every time. Varix stared at this human who made no sense. Dragons valued strength. They valued power and honor and size. But this human valued kindness. What happens to me now? Varix asked quietly. Marcus took a deep breath. I want to contact the dragon authorities. See if I can get legal guardianship of you. Would you? Would you want that? To stay with me? With us? Varix looked around the galley. At Zesra, who smiled encouragingly. At Rodriguez, who gave him a thumbs up. At Thala, who nodded with all four eyes soft. Then he looked at Marcus, this human who had bought back his toy, fed him, and offered to fix his broken wing. Yes, Varix whispered. Yes, please. Marcus's smile was brighter than any star. Then let's make it official. Welcome aboard the Wayfarer, Varix. Welcome home. Welcome home. For the second time that day, Varix cried. But this time, they were different tears. These tears felt like hope becoming real. 2 months had passed since Marcus found Varix in the marketplace. The small dragon had changed in ways that amazed everyone aboard the Wayfarer. His scales now gleamed with a beautiful copper shine. His body had filled out with proper meals. He smiled more easily and spoke without fear. The crew had become his family, each teaching him something special. But Varix still would not fly. His wing had healed perfectly after Zesra's surgery. The medic said it was strong and healthy. She said he could fly anytime he wanted. But whenever anyone mentioned flying, Varix found reasons to be busy elsewhere. Marcus noticed. He always noticed. One evening, Marcus found Varix in the cargo bay, working on a small mechanical project. The dragon child had shown remarkable talent with machines. His small claws could reach places others could not. He had even improved his star projector, making it brighter and clearer. What are you building? Marcus asked, sitting beside him. A better cooling system for Rodriguez's tools, Varix said, not looking up. They overheat during long repairs. That's thoughtful of you. Marcus watched him work for a moment. Varix, can we talk about something? The small dragon's claws paused. About flying? Yes. Varix set down his tools. His tail curled around his feet, a sign he was nervous. My wing is healed. I know. So why won't you try? Varix was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was very small. My parents died falling. The mine shaft collapsed. They fell into darkness. I remember my mother's scream through the comm system before everything went silent. Marcus felt his heart break. Oh, Varix. I didn't know. When I fell and broke my wing, I remembered that scream. I remembered the darkness. I thought I would die the same way they did. Varix looked up at Marcus with frightened eyes. What if I fly and fall again? What if the darkness takes me too? Arcing. And into. Wayne 7016. What if the darkness takes me too? Marcus pulled Varix into a gentle hug. Fear is not weakness. Fear is your mind trying to protect you, but you cannot let fear steal your wings forever. What if I am not strong enough? You are the strongest person I know. You survived when others abandoned you. You chose to hope when hope seemed foolish. That is real strength. Varix buried his face in Marcus's shoulder. I am scared. I know. And that is okay. They sat together in comfortable silence until Rodriguez called them for dinner. 3 days later, everything changed. The Wayfarer received an emergency distress call. A small colony on a nearby moon was experiencing life support failure. Their oxygen recycling system had broken down. They had maybe 6 hours of air left. "We're the closest ship," Thala reported, her 4 eyes wide with concern. "But Captain, their system is in a very tight access tunnel. Only someone very small could reach it." Everyone's eyes turned to Varix. The small dragon stood up straight. "I can do it. Tell me what needs to be fixed." Marcus knelt down. "Varix, you don't have to. We can find another way. 300 people will die if I do nothing. My parents were miners. They saved people by going into dangerous places. I can be brave, like them." Pride shone in Marcus's eyes. "All right. But I'm coming with you as far as I can. And you wear a safety line the entire time." The colony was in chaos when they arrived. People rushed through corridors, trying to evacuate children to ships that did not have enough space. The air already smelled stale and thin. The colony leader, a Prothean woman, led them to the damaged system. The main coupling broke and fell into the secondary shaft. "It is blocking coolant flow. Everything is overheating and shutting down." Varix looked at the narrow tunnel entrance. It was barely wide enough for his small body. "I can fit." Rodriguez handed him a toolkit specially sized for his claws. "You remember what I taught you about coupling systems?" "Yes. Disconnect carefully, remove blockage, reconnect, and seal." "Good kid. You've got this." Zesra attached a safety line to Varix's harness. "We will pull you back if anything goes wrong. Just tug twice on the line." Marcus squeezed Varix's shoulder. "I believe in you." Varix crawled into the tunnel. It was dark and hot. The metal walls pressed close on all sides. His heart pounded in his chest. This felt too much like his parents' mineshaft. Too much like the fall that broke his wing. But he kept crawling. 300 people needed him. He reached the damaged coupling. Just as Rodriguez described, a broken piece had fallen and lodged in the wrong place. Coolant was leaking, making everything slippery. Varix carefully removed the blockage and set it aside. Then he heard a terrible sound. A hissing crack. "Secondary pressure failure," someone shouted from outside. "The tunnel is depressurizing. Get him out." Suddenly, air rushed past Varix, pulling him backward toward a breach. His claws scrabbled for grip on the slippery metal. The safety line yanked tight, but it was not enough. He was being pulled toward the hole, toward the vacuum of space beyond. Fear flooded through him. This was the fall. This was the darkness. No, not this time. Instinct took over. Varix's wings snapped open. They filled with the rushing air. And then, without thinking, without fear, he flew. He flew through the tunnel like an arrow, his wings navigating the tight space perfectly. He reached a stable section and grabbed hold. The breach sealed itself with emergency foam behind him. He was alive, he was flying, and it felt incredible. "Varix, are you okay?" Marcus's voice came through the comm, panicked. "I'm fine. I'm flying. Marcus, I'm flying. Thank the stars." "Can you finish the repair?" Varix looked at the coupling system. "Yes, give me 2 minutes." His claws worked quickly now, confident and sure. He reconnected the coupling, sealed it properly, and tested the flow. Green lights appeared on the control panel. "It's working," the colony leader shouted. "Oxygen production is back online." Varix crawled back through the tunnel. When he emerged, the entire crew was waiting. Marcus swept him up in a huge hug. "You did it. You saved them all." Varix's wings trembled with exhaustion and joy. "I flew. I was so scared. But I flew anyway." Zesra hugged him next. "You were magnificent, little spark." Rodriguez ruffled his head ridges. "Best engineer on the ship, hands down." That night, back on the Wayfarer, Varix sat with Marcus on the observation deck. They watched stars drift past through the window. "Marcus?" Varix said quietly. "Yes? Can I call you Dad?" Marcus's eyes grew bright with tears. He pulled Varix close. "I would be honored. Can I call you my son?" "Yes, please, yes." They sat together, a human father and dragon son, watching the stars. Varix's star projector cast constellations around them, just like his first father had shown him years ago. But now he understood something new. He could fly, not because his wings were healed, but because he finally believed someone would catch him if he fell. That someone was his dad. 6 months after the colony rescue, life aboard the Wayfarer had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Varix worked alongside Rodriguez in the engine room, attended lessons with Thala, and helped Zesra in the medical bay. He had grown taller, his wings stronger, and his laughter came easily now. Marcus watched his son with pride every single day. Then the message arrived. "Captain Chen, you have an official communication from the Dragon Conclave," Thala announced, her 4 eyes blinking with concern. "They are requesting a formal hearing regarding custody of the dragon child Varix." Marcus felt his blood run cold. "What?" Varix, who had been calibrating a scanner nearby, dropped the tool. His scales lost their shine. "They want me back?" Marcus moved quickly to his son's side. "No one is taking you anywhere. Let me see the message." The holographic display showed an official seal from the Dragon Conclave. The message was formal and cold. "The clan of Varix has petitioned for his return. His recent heroic actions have brought honor to their bloodline. A hearing will be held on Pyraxis in 10 days. Attendance is mandatory." "Honor to their bloodline?" Rodriguez said angrily. "They threw him away like trash." Zesra placed a calming hand on the engineer's shoulder. "This is about reputation. Dragons value public image highly. Varix's rescue made news across several systems. Now they want to claim credit for his bravery." Varix's voice was barely a whisper. "Do I have to go back?" Marcus knelt in front of his son. "Listen to me. You are my son. I have legal guardianship papers filed with the Galactic Child Welfare Bureau. They cannot just take you. If you have not brawn. But what if they can?" Varix's eyes filled with tears. "What if dragon law is stronger than galactic law? What if I lose you?" That will not happen. I promise you." Marcus pulled Varix into a tight hug. "But we do need to attend this hearing. We need to face them and show them that you belong with us." Thala worked her datapad quickly. "Captain, the legal situation is complicated. Dragon clan law has special protections under the Cultural Autonomy Act. If the Conclave rules in favor of the clan, it could override your guardianship." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Then we fight. We bring every piece of evidence we have. Medical records, educational progress, testimony from the colony you saved. We show them what real family looks like." 10 days later, the Wayfarer landed on Pyraxis, the dragon homeworld. The planet was beautiful and terrifying. Massive mountain ranges stretched toward red skies. Dragon cities were carved into cliffsides, with platforms for flight extending into open air. Everywhere, massive dragons soared and walked, their scales gleaming in the sunlight. Varix pressed close to Marcus as they walked through the capital city. Every dragon they passed was at least 3 times his size. Some stared at him with contempt. Others simply ignored him. "I forgot how small I am here," Varix whispered. "Size is not what matters," Marcus said firmly. "Remember that." The hearing chamber was an enormous cavern, with crystal formations that amplified sound. The High Council sat on elevated platforms, 5 ancient dragons, whose scales showed the wear of centuries. Below them, Varix's uncle, clan leader Thornak, stood with 4 other clan members. Thornak was huge, his black scales polished to perfection. When he saw Varix, his eyes narrowed. So, the runt returns. Looking healthier than expected, Marcus stepped forward, positioning himself between Thornak and Varix. His name is Varix, and he is my son. Your son? Thornak's laugh was harsh. He is dragon-born. He belongs with dragons, not with soft, weak humans. This human saved him when you abandoned him, Rodriguez said hotly from behind them. The entire crew had come to support Varix. The head counselor, an ancient gold dragon named Elder Cassira, raised one claw for silence. We will hear both claims. Clan leader Thornak, state your petition. Thornak stepped forward, his voice formal and powerful. Honored Council, I petition for the return of Varix to his rightful clan. He is of our bloodline, our history, our culture. This human has stolen what belongs to us. Stolen? Marcus's voice was sharp. I found him starving in a marketplace, trying to sell his last possession for food. Where were you then? The child was weak. Keeping him would have drained clan resources. This is our way. Our tradition. Your tradition is cruel. It is our culture, Thornak roared. And it is protected under galactic law. You have no right to impose your human values on our species. Elder Cassira studied them both. Human Marcus Chen. What is your response? Thank you for watching. Live well. Human Marcus Chen. Marcus took a deep breath. Honored Council, I do not claim to understand all dragon traditions, but I understand this. Varix is a child, a living being who deserves love, care, and protection. When his clan abandoned him, I chose to provide those things. Not because he was dragon or human, but because he was a child in need. Noble words, another counselor said. But clan leader Thornak is correct. Dragon clan law gives him the right to reclaim abandoned offspring if circumstances change. Circumstances? Zesra spoke up, her voice steady. The only circumstance that changed is that Varix became famous. They do not want him. They want the honor his actions brought. Thornak's scales darkened with anger. How dare you? Enough, Elder Cassira's voice cut through the chamber. Varix looked up at Marcus with frightened eyes. Marcus squeezed his shoulder gently. You can do this. Speak your truth. Varix walked forward on trembling legs. He stood before the council, so small compared to everyone around him. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he began to speak in formal dragon tongue, his voice growing stronger with each word. Honored Council, I stand before you not as a runt or a burden, but as Varix, son of Marcus Chen. You ask where I belong, I will tell you. He turned to face Thornak. When I was cold and hungry, this clan did not see me. When I was injured and alone, they did not help me. They called me weak and left me to die. He turned back to the council. But one human saw me. One human chose to help, expecting nothing in return. Marcus Chen fed me, healed me, taught me, and loved me. He gave me a family when my own blood rejected me. The crew of the Wayfarer taught me that family is not about species or size. It is about choosing to stay when things are hard. Elder Cassira leaned forward. You speak well, young one. But your uncle claims you belong with your own kind. My own kind? Varix's voice rang clear. My kind are those who showed me kindness. My kind are those who believed in me. My kind are those who taught me to fly not just with wings, but with hope. He looked at Marcus, his eyes shining. I am dragonborn, but I am human-raised, and I am proud of both. But if I must choose, I choose my father. The chamber fell silent. Thornak's face twisted with rage. This is an insult to our entire... The choice has already been made. A new voice spoke from the entrance. A Galactic Child Welfare Bureau representative entered, carrying official documents. Captain Marcus Chen's adoption of Varix was finalized under emergency protective custody laws 3 weeks ago. The adoption is legal and binding under galactic law, which supersedes cultural clan traditions in cases of child abandonment. Elder Kasira examined the documents carefully. This is legitimate. The adoption is official. This is outrageous, Thornak shouted. Our traditions, your traditions, Elder Kasira said coldly, do not permit you to abandon a child and then reclaim him when convenient. This council will not support such hypocrisy. She looked at the other councilors, who all nodded in agreement. The petition is denied. Varix remains with his adopted father, Marcus Chen. Varix felt his legs go weak with relief. Marcus caught him and lifted him into his arms, holding him tight. It's over, Marcus whispered. You're safe. You're mine. Forever. Varix buried his face in his father's shoulder and cried tears of joy. To survive, the abandoned dragon child sold his last toy until a human became his father. Part 5. A Human and His Dragon Son. 1 year had passed since Marcus found Varix in the marketplace on Kepler 7 station. The Wayfarer returned to that same station, completing its annual trade route. Everything had changed. Varix stood beside his father on the docking platform, his copper scales gleaming brilliantly in the station lights. He had grown significantly, proper nutrition and love had helped him reach a healthy size for his age. His wings were strong and graceful. His eyes sparkled with confidence and joy. It feels strange being back here, Varix said, adjusting the small engineering badge on his vest. He was now officially the Wayfarer's junior engineer. Marcus smiled at his son. Strange how? This place felt so big and scary before. Now it just feels normal, like any other station. Varix paused. I was so small then. So afraid. You were never small where it mattered, Marcus said, placing a hand on Varix's shoulder. Your heart was always big enough. They walked through the marketplace together. The familiar sounds and smells surrounded them. Varix's claws no longer clicked nervously on the ground. He walked with his head high, his tail swishing contentedly. There, Varix pointed. That is the corner where I sat. Where you found me. The corner looked different in daylight, less dark and desperate. Just an ordinary space between 2 vendor stalls. Captain Chen, young Varix, a familiar voice called out. The Zenthari merchant who had tried to buy the star projector hurried over, her 4 arms waving excitedly. I cannot believe it. Look at you, little one. You have grown so much. Varix smiled. Hello, Miss Centauri. Thank you for being kind to me that day. Kind? I tried to take your last treasure for food. I felt terrible about that for months. She looked at Marcus gratefully. You are the human who bought it back for him. That was the most beautiful thing I have seen in all my years of trading. It was the right thing to do, Marcus said simply. As they talked, Varix noticed something. A small shape huddled in the shadows near a trash unit. His breath caught in his throat. Another dragon child. Even smaller than Varix had been. His scales were gray and dull. His wings were folded so tightly they looked broken. Dad, Varix whispered, tugging Marcus's sleeve. Look. Marcus followed his gaze and his expression grew sad. Another. Abandoned one. Another. Abandoned one. Varix did not hesitate. He walked straight to the small dragon and knelt down. Hello. My name is Varix. What is yours? The child looked up with fearful eyes. Kess. Are you going to hurt me? No. Never. I was sitting in this exact spot 1 year ago. I was alone and scared And hungry. Just like you. Kess stared at him. You? But you look strong and healthy. Now I do. But a year ago, I was selling my last toy for food. Then, a human found me. He changed everything. Varix held out his hand. Come with me. Let me show you. Within an hour, Kess was sitting in the Wayfarer's galley, eating his first real meal in weeks. 3 more dragon children had appeared when word spread, all of them abandoned runts, all of them surviving alone. Zesra examined each one with tears in her eyes. Rodriguez brought out extra blankets. Thala prepared educational materials. The crew worked together, like they had done this 100 times before. Marcus watched it all and felt something shift in his heart. We cannot keep doing this one child at a time, he said quietly to his crew that evening. There are too many forgotten children falling through the cracks. What are you thinking, Captain? Thala asked. Marcus pulled up his datapad and began working. I am thinking we start a foundation. The Wayfarer Foundation. We create a fund specifically for abandoned dragon children. We help them find foster families, get medical care, receive education. That will cost a fortune, Rodriguez said. Then we raise a fortune. We ask other ships to help. We contact human colonies. We make this bigger than just us. Marcus looked at Varix, who was showing little Kess, his star projector. My son should not be the exception. He should be the rule. Every abandoned child deserves what he got. A chance. A family. Hope. Rodriguez grinned. I am in. Let us do it. As am I, Zesra said firmly. Count me in as well, Thala added. Word of the Wayfarer Foundation spread quickly through trading networks. Human ships across the galaxy heard about the captain who adopted an abandoned dragon child. They heard about the rescue mission. They heard about the trial on Pyraxis. More importantly, they heard about the idea that every child deserved a home, regardless of species. Donations poured in. Other ships volunteered to serve as foster families. The Dragon Conclave, embarrassed by the attention, began quietly reforming their abandonment practices. It was not a complete change, but it was a start. 6 months after the Foundation launched, Varix was invited to speak at the Galactic Youth Forum, a gathering of young beings from hundreds of worlds. Marcus sat in the audience, watching his son stand on that enormous stage. Varix looked so small up there, but his voice carried clearly through the hall. My name is Varix. A year and a half ago, I sat in a marketplace corner, trying to sell the only thing I had left of my parents. I was ready to give up, to disappear, to become just another forgotten child. He paused, his eyes finding Marcus in the crowd. Then, a human saw me, not as a problem or a burden, but as a person who mattered. He taught me that family is not about biology. It is about choice, about choosing to love someone every single day. Varix's voice grew stronger. There are thousands of children across the galaxy who are waiting for someone to choose them. They are waiting in corners and shadows, hoping someone will see them. I am asking you, all of you, to be the person who looks, to be the person who helps, to be the person who chooses. The hall erupted in applause. Marcus felt tears streaming down his face, his heart nearly bursting with pride. After the speech, reporters swarmed them. One asked Marcus, Captain Chen, you have been honored for your humanitarian work. What do you want people to know? Marcus looked at Varix, who stood beside him holding his old star projector, the toy that had started everything. I want people to know that I did not save Varix. He saved me. He reminded me what matters in this universe. Not wealth or power or fame, but connection, love, the choice to care for someone who needs you. Another reporter asked Varix, what are your plans for the future? Varix smiled. I am designing improved life support systems, safer ones that do not fail. I want to help more people, the way I was helped. And someday, I want to have a family of my own. Maybe adopt children who need homes, the way my dad adopted me. That evening, back on the Wayfarer, Marcus and Varric sat in their usual spot on the observation deck. The star projector cast familiar constellations around them. Through the window, they could see other ships in formation, each one carrying rescued children, each one part of their growing network of hope. "Dad?" Varric said softly. "Yes, son? Do you think my first parents would be proud of me? Of who I became?" Marcus pulled Varric close. "I think they are watching from whatever comes after this life. And I think their hearts are full of joy. You honor their memory every single day by being exactly who you are. Kind, brave, and full of love." Varric rested his head against Marcus's shoulder. "I miss them, but I am grateful for you. Is it okay to feel both things?" "It is more than okay. Love is not a limited resource. You can love your first parents and love me too. Your heart is big enough for all of it." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars dance. Outside, more ships joined their formation. Inside, rescued children laughed and played and learned. Across the galaxy, the message spread. Every child matters, every life has value, and family is built not through blood, but through the radical choice to love. Marcus looked at his son, his miracle, his joy, his greatest adventure, and knew that one simple act of kindness in a marketplace had changed not just 2 lives, but thousands.